Hey, brothers and sisters, what's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. Okay, and I just wanted to reiterate a particular study that was done around 2016, maybe 2014. It was probably completed 2016, right? And and basically, we're going to deal with the relevancy of it today. All right, and basically what we have is um, a concerted effort by the BTN to eliminate the Afro males from the population, and that is without a doubt. This has always been their policy as a group. All right, but we just didn't know it, and we didn't pay attention to the numbers. Some of us didn't even study the numbers. We didn't know that 60% of the deaths to Afro children were the males. We didn't know that they were making a concerted effort to destroy the males. We're talking about the BTN, the BFM, the BAWs, the BAFs, whatever you want to call them. All right. We're also talking about a group of the BTNs who did not want the good Afro man. All right. But it took us a while to figure out that we have other options. All right. And then on top of that, there was a lot of hullabaloo over this Rutgers studies. And what the Rutgers studies stated is that the good Afro brother have other options for a wife. Now I want to break this down for you real quick. That there has always been a concerted effort to have the Afro men doubt themselves. Because even though I'm a good man, but according to what I'm hearing from out of the mouths of these BFEMs, I'm one of the few, and I know for sure they don't like me. So I can just dare guess that, well, they're choosing all these guys. They have a plethora of bad men to choose from. So and come to find out, no, the bad men are in the minority. It's just that they don't like the good ones. And then there was one sister that broke it down from the point of view of the woman. That the reason why they don't like the good one is because they would have to measure up. There are certain things that the good man is not going to put up with. And since the good man, being a good man, has his own house, car, because he's a provider, he's looking to be a provider, and he's looking for somebody who's going to submit to his leadership. And since they're never going to submit because they want to be the queen of the universe, then they're not going to be a good fit for the good man. So they kick them to the curb. But then the study comes out and it blew the top off of everything. Brothers had options, always had options. It's just that there was a chasm there where that their options did not know what a good brother was, because the options was listening to all the negative press that the good brother was getting. All right, to the point where the good brothers thought that he was the only one. And then when we start doing the numbers and looking at the numbers, we was like, oh no, the negative press were all lies. It wasn't based on fact. It was just based on not even innuendos. They knew what the facts were and just outright lied against the good brother. Everybody that lied knew what the facts were. So why would they do that? Well, this Rutgers study, if they could push the falsehood, then the brothers would believe that they have no other options because the options think negative about them, because it's rightly so. And the options that really have a desire for brothers would think that they're not good providers because this is all they heard. But see, that's starting to change. All right. And I'll explain that in this. But let me greet everybody real quick. Hovorden Hardugu Dog, Ola Oi to the Bang, Pasas Los, Bonjour mes amis, Kedo ni Konnichiwa, Ni hao ma, Signing Bonani, Jumbo Horbagani, Assalamu alaikum and Shalom. All right. Now, real quick. Okay, so let's get those thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. It is very important to share the videos, right? Because as we know, Google and them are shadow banning content like this that brings you this kind of information. Now, if you want to know what we're doing what I do in the community, um, just type in my email. Type in Reluctant Nabi favelas, and you'll see the same thing that you see that I'm doing in the favelas in Brazil. I do in the community. Only I work more directly with children here in the community in the United States because, well, that's who comes by the house. I rarely ever see their single mom parent. All right. But anyway, and I work with the schools here. So, well, one school in particular, a middle school. All right. So if you like what I do, and you want to donate, my PayPal me link will be in the description box. But remember, you still take care of yourself and family first. All right. Period. In the story, take care of yourself and family first. All right. It's very important that you share the videos and don't forget that notification bell and the thumbs up. All right. Now let's address something real quick. Right. Um. So we got all this stuff going on. We got options opening up for the good Afro man. But I want people to understand this. To the D police that's out there trying to tell the Afro man who he can and cannot date and or take as a wife, they're all wrong. And they're even wrong on the basis of their own dogma that they're preaching. Because one of the things is, unless you look as melanated as the B film who thinks she deserves a crown when she don't, all right, on the ones that look as melanated as this plastic doll. Wow, the plastic have a lot of similarity. The fakeness of the plastic have a lot of similarities in what we're used to seeing as men. But anyway, I digress. All right, then that means that somebody has a Caucasian dad somewhere down the line, especially if you are very, very light complected. All right, and so you get into a very complicated issue when you talk about and try to define what the Afro woman or man is. All right, and I simply say this: the Afro woman and man had an Afro father who also had an Afro father. Period. So the Afro woman or man is an Afro father who also had an Afro father. Period. Now, if you're as melanated as me, all right, it's very easy to, okay, yeah, all the way, almost all the way down his line, right? But when you get to the lighter hues, so how do you define it? Well, you got to look at who has the spirit of the Most High within them. Now, if you are an Afro man, meaning you had an Afro father and grandfather, all right, you're open to options. If you're an Afro man, period. If you are a man, period. Caucasian men have always had options, so they already know this. All right. The only people that didn't know we had options are the people that look like me. All right. Rutgers just blew that right out the water. We'll get to that in a minute. All right. However, for the rest of us, right? The reason why we thought we didn't have options because we've been depoliced by the ones who was going to reject us anyway. In other words, the woman that looked like the woman on the right didn't want us, but she didn't want anyone else to have us. Whereas all the time, the women on the left was like, yep, I love me some chocolate, preferably with a beard. So whoop-de-doo. And this is what the Rutgers study indicated. All right. while the B fem was running around, saying that they are a boss, not submissive and stuff, brothers had women willing to submit to them who didn't want to be the boss, who didn't want to be the head, who didn't want to run the man. And the reason why the B film chose so many weaker men, because they wanted somebody that they could run. That's why they like Pookies and Ray Rays. All right. And I've always preached this. It's just that recently another GTN, because she has a husband, another GTN let the cat out the bag, said no, the reason why the B film choose bad men, because they want somebody that they can emasculate, and they want somebody they can rule over. Someone that they don't have to change their attitude, their habits, or they don't have to do anything. They don't have to do any work on themselves or anything like that. They could be just as ruining as possible. And that bad dude just have to accept it because he don't have no other place to go. Because he live in her house. You see? This is how that works for them. All right. For the good brothers, though, we was like, well, they don't want us. We have options. But then Rutgers verified that, yep, you have options, brothers. So the Rutgers study, this was like around 2016, said 87% of American Caucasian women had fantasies about having relations with Afro men in America. All right. It was conducted by the Sociological Endowment in the Cultural Histology Department. Okay, so they went deep down to make sure this was right at Rutgers. The study reveals that a whopping 87% of Caucasian women dream of having relations with an Afro man. And in some cases, many already have. Wait a minute, many already have. Interesting enough, all right, and here's the difference between the Caucasian women and the BTN. The same study says that only 13% of Caucasian women said they would actually marry and raise a family with an Afro man. Of the 800 involved in the study, 8% said that they had dreamed of, well, going just really down that slope, right? Now, a slope that I wouldn't be on. Now, here's the thing. This is fair because, well, they spell it out. The fact that there's such a huge disparity between the number of Caucasian women who want to be with Afro men physically versus those who would marry Afro men shows that many still have the stereotypical view of Afro men. Now, this was back in 2014, 15, and 16. That's all changed as the Afro men are traveling, and so a lot of Caucasian women are seeing that, wait a minute, most Afro men are providers. And that's why you see a jump in the statistics. Like in 2013, only 5% of Afro men had Caucasian women as wives, and that jumped up to 12 or 13%. Right? Now, keep this in mind that only 26% of the BTN are married. All right, let's say some of them are GTN. So the BFEMs, 26% of them are have husbands, whereas 36% of Afro men have wives. And since most Afro men marry black women, all right, I want you to understand this. Since most of them marry black women, all right, then one must understand that if there is 4% of black women that are married to Caucasians, why is there such a gap between the amount of men that are married versus the amount of women, black women. Afro men, more Afro men married than black women. Wait a minute, I'm not done yet. When you really look at it, in that gap of that 4%, all right, you got about 13% of Afro men that have to be married to somebody other than the black woman. All right, and it's increasing because of the attitude. No one really considers the BFM anymore a viable option as a wife. Wait a minute, just to not be outdone, a BFM went and put up an Oxford study. All right, we're going to look at that. All right, here's the thing. In this Oxford study, this is not news. This is not news. It says 97% of Caucasian men want to be with the BTN physically, the BFM, according to a new study. Okay, wait a minute. You could say 90%, 98% of any man would be with any woman that's going to just give it up to them without a struggle. All right. And probably 98% of them may have done that. Now, this woman put this up thinking, oh, wow, yes, that's right. That's right. People fantasize about being with us. Yeah, because that's all they see the the BFM as. And that's what this woman misses, right? It's a fantasy for them, right? But for the Caucasian woman, if she finds out that the man can be a provider, any man can be a provider, and it's somebody that she would prefer to be with physically, she jumping on that boat, and that's what's happening. That's why the marriage rates are going up between Afro men and their outside option and their options other than the BFM. And this is why the marriage rate is going down between a BFM and anybody. The and they go and say already have, right? Now, here's the thing. We don't really know if this is a real study, right? Because basically, I'm gonna take it as real because of the next part. And I bet you this woman fixed the numbers, right? Because these women put up fake numbers to try to make themselves look better. Interestingly enough, it says only 63% of Caucasian men seek a long-term relationship with the BFM because most believe that the BFM's attitude was hard to handle. No one wants to handle anybody, so they rather leave you alone. They pump and dump. All right, and that's basically the BFM. That's just basically what she's become. If you look at any dating site that she's on, it's for cash. Anything she's doing is for cash. Tag POF. Go look. Look, when you come across a BFM or any younger woman for that matter, you'll see they're looking for cash. Pay attention. All right. And so they come up with all these sayings, right? And basically, when an Afro man gets with a Caucasian woman, he is not the DOG. He is the GOD in her life. He is the leader. And this is the biggest complaint that BFEMs have about women, that the Afro man's option. They say, oh, you only want your options is because they submit to you. Yep, there it is. The same way you submit to anybody but an Afro man, that's our reason not to be with a B fem, because we want a woman that's going to submit to us. Oh, that's called a marriage where the man is the head of the house, right? All right, and at no point do the B fem consider the Afro man their god, because they want him to serve her. Understand this. And the Afro man has awakened and now understand this. All right. So, what is our choice? We're going after our options, because while the BFM is busy trying to be God, we can choose women that want to be wives. We can choose women that's in line with the commandments and not tatted all up with stuff across them trying to emulate the worst of Caucasian culture. All right. They don't want us to be with the Caucasian woman or anybody outside of them, but they're not worthy of us, because if we're spiritual, these are the least spiritual beings on earth. They've done everything against the commandments that the Most High told them not to do. And they've made themselves unworthy by these acts on purpose. They said, F what the Most High say. We got Christianity. We'll just go to church and have the Caucasian Jeebus forgive us. All right. But they're not suitable for a good Afro man anymore. At the end of the day, the burning house, the country that allowed them to do this against us, all right, the Afro man is tired. And he is seeking his options both in the U.S. and outside of it. And there's nothing the D police can say about it. There's nothing the D police can do about it. They're kind of through. And they just don't know how through they really are. With that said, I'm out.